Before proceeding, insert and align the 5/32 cutter and guide as shown in the alignment video. Before code cutting Subaru keys, you must pre-cut the tip of the key using the included setup key. Begin by inserting the setup key into the machine. Use the handheld tip stop to align the key properly. Secure in the vise with the thumb screw. Next, bring the guide down onto the cutout surface of the setup key. Lock the carriage in this position with the large knob in the front of the machine. To prevent the guide from dragging on the surface of the pattern key, turn the dial to 10. Lift up on the guide and lock it into this raised position with a small knob on the left side of the machine. Note that we have not changed the depth of the cutting bit. Next, insert the blank key into the right vise using the handheld tip stop to align it. We are now ready to pre-cut the tip of our key. Turn on the machine and ease the key into the cutter, keeping an eye on the guide at all times. Cutting should start at the right bow side of the key, cut toward the tip, then from the left tip to the left side bow of the key in a U-shape. Do this on both sides of the key. You may want to pre-cut extra blanks, allowing you to skip this step in the future. Once our key has been pre-cut, it's time to install our depth and space rods. Remove the Allen screw from the bottom table with the 1/8 inch Allen wrench. Slide the carriage forward and insert the 3/32 Allen wrench into the hole in the locking hub. Turn the rod onto the hub until it comes to a complete stop. Be sure to replace the Allen screw in the table to prevent chips from entering the table assembly. Install the depth rod in the same way. Remove the Allen screw, insert the 3/32 Allen wrench into the hole to lock the hub, and thread the space rod onto the shaft. Be sure to snug the space rod up, then replace the Allen screw. You will notice two sets of dimples on the Subaru depth rod, one for the left side of the key and one for the right. You can begin cutting on either side of the key. When one side is complete, you will simply loosen the thumb screw and move the carriage to the other side. To engage the depth rod, turn the thumb screw in until it comes to a complete stop. Then back it off one turn. Move the carriage left to right until the rod is engaged. You may need to adjust the thumb screw slightly. Engage the space rod in the same way, remembering that you may have to adjust the thumb screw slightly for proper operation. Insert the pre-cut key blank into the right vise using the handheld tip stop. Set the proper depth of cut using the pre-cut key as a guide. Lower the cutter onto the cutout part of the key and lock into place with the large lock knob in the front of the machine. Turn the machine on. Be sure the depth rod is in the number 1 position. In our example, we are cutting the right side of the key first. Turn the space rod to the first space position. As the key moves towards the first cut position, you will be cutting the key to all number 1 depths on the right side. Right side cuts are 3, 3, 1, 2, 3. With the machine in the first space position, turn the depth rod to a number 3 depth. If the next cut is deeper or the same as the cut that you just made, turn the space rod first. If the adjacent depth is shallower, turn the depth rod first. After we make the first 3 cut at the head of the key, we will space to the second position, which is a number 3 cut. After making the number 3 cut, we will turn our depth back to a number 1 position and space to our next cut. We will then space to the next cut, which is deeper, then turn our depth rod to the number 2 position. Again, our next cut is deeper, so we will turn the space rod first, then the depth to a number 3 position. After we have made all 5 cuts, run out the last cut at the tip of the key to remove any leftover material. Once the right side is complete, loosen the depth lock knob and move the carriage to the right so that we can engage the left side cuts of the depth rod. Tighten the thumb screw back up and rotate the rod to the number 1 depth position. We are now ready to cut the left side of the key. With the depth rod in the number 1 position, turn the space rod to the first space position at the bow of the key. Cuts on the left side of the key are 43322. Make our first cut by turning the depth rod to the number 4 position. Our next cut is a 3, which is shallower, so we will turn the depth rod first, then space to the second position. The next cut is also a 3, so turning the space rod is all we need to do. The fourth cut position is a shallower depth, so turn our depth rod to a number 2 position, then space to the fourth position. Our last cut is also a 2 depth, so we will turn our space rod to the last cut, then run the number 2 cut out all the way. Turn the machine off and remove the key from the vise. Cut the second side exactly the same way as you did the first. To begin duplicating, insert the pattern key into the left vise using the handheld tip stop to align the key. Either loosen both thumb screws or completely remove the rods from the machine. Lower the cutter head so that the guide makes contact with a cut part of the pattern key. Completely compress the spring-loaded guide and lock the cutter head into the lowered position. Turn the dial on the upper left side to 10, then lift up on the guide and lock it into the raised position with the lock knob on the left side of the machine. Insert the blank key into the vise on the right side of the machine using the handheld tip stop, secure in place. When duplicating, begin cutting this type of key at the right bow of the key, work down the right side, around the tip of the key, then toward the bow on the left side, making a U-shaped cut. Once you have cut the first side, remove the key from the vise, turn it over, and follow the same procedure on the other side of the key.